If you like landscape photography, film photography and photo books, then this is the video for you. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a selection of photo books that I recently picked up that have been made by 4 film photographers that I really enjoy. The 4 landscape film photographers that we're going to be taking a look at are Ansel Adams, Michael Kenner, Bruce Percy and Ben Horn. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly share with you a couple of photo books from 2 New Zealand film photographers that I recently picked up as well that I thought are worth mentioning because they're local here to New Zealand, and New Zealand is where I live. The first New Zealand-based landscape photographer that we're going to be taking a look at today is a guy called Percy. Many of you will already know him from his YouTube channel, and he's a New Zealand-based photographer, and he recently released a book called Scenes from the Black Sand. I think they were taken with his Leica camera, but he also shoots a Hasselblad film camera. And I really enjoy this book because of how it pulls together the landscape and people, and it shows that really well, and I really appreciate Paul's work for that, and it's a really nice book that's worth looking at. So the second book I just want to quickly show you is from a New Zealand based photographer called Harps. Now Harps is a well-known New Zealand photographer. He's been a professional photographer, landscape photographer for 40 years. He made his name in New Zealand through panoramic images, and he specialises in panoramic photography. He primarily used a Linhof 6x12 and then went on to use the Fuji 6x17. I think today he mainly uses digital cameras, but I recently was given a book as a gift from him. My mother was doing a South Island tour, and Andres lives down in the South Island, and my mother called into his gallery and picked up this book and gave it to me, and it's quite a nice book. I think it's one of his earlier books. It was all made with film photography with Fuji, and it's a landscape photography book, and I really appreciate it. And there's quite a nice little story in this book of Andres and how he spent I think it was at least a year traveling through South America with his family and 2 kids, and I was completely amazed at how you could do that, traveling around a foreign country with your family and doing landscape photography. So the first book I want to show you today is by a film photographer who is well known and is considered a pioneering landscape photographer. It is Ansel Adams, and I recently picked up this book, and it's basically a book of 400 of his photographs, and it's kind of like a catalogue of his images that range from when he first started doing photography in 1916 up to 1968, and they're all black and white images, and he used a range of different cameras, I believe from large format 8x10 all the way down in size to the Hasselblad 6x6 film camera. And he is a famous landscape photographer from America, and many photographers consider him a pioneer in landscape photography. So there are many images in this book that I really enjoy, and I just wanted to show you a couple just quickly. There's this one here that's of Yosemite, and this is a really beautiful image. It's probably one of his more famous images, and there's a few others in here that I really enjoy. I really like these images here, particularly this one. I really enjoy how he uses the river as a compositional leading line. So I really enjoy this image here, the Tetons with the Snake River. I just love how the river leads your eye up to the mountains. It's a beautiful image. I really love some of his more simpler work, like this one of the sand dune. I really appreciate this type of image. I've been trying to do some of this type of photography myself recently with some colour photography, and my previous video is of sand dunes. And even some of his photography in his later days, around the 50s, some of his close-up shots like these shots here are really beautiful images. I really like those images as well. And even these images here, these are beautiful images. And there's a lot of images that you can like in this book. And it's a great book because it contains 400 of his images, and it's almost like a complete book of his best work, in my opinion, and I really liked it. It was really good value, so I think I picked this book up on Amazon for about $40, and I think it is a really good buy for the amount of photography images that you get in this book. It's definitely, for $40 you can't get better than that. The second book I'm going to show you today is this one. It's by Michael Kenner, and it's called Forms of Japan, and it's a beautiful book. I think so many of you may know Michael Kenner for his black and white photography, particularly landscape photography. He's originally from the UK, but I believe he now lives in Japan. And this book is quite a nice book, and it tries to capture the elements of Japan, being the sea, the land, the trees, and the spirit and the sky. And I believe Michael uses a Hasselblad 6x6 film camera, and I think the film he used is Tri-X400, but I could be wrong. So if you know what film he used, please leave a comment down below and let me know, because I'd really like to know what film he uses. And I purchased this book for about $75, and I think it's incredible value for that, considering the size of the book, because it is quite a big book. And you look at the thickness of it, there's a lot of images in this book, and you know, I really enjoy Michael's work, and I must say I think I like pretty much all the images in this book, but I've selected a few that I want to show you just quickly that I really like. So I really like this image here. It's a beautiful image from Michael. It's very simple, and Michael does this really well. I think he is a master of minimalism in many cases. That's how I would describe his work. And you can see here again some of the beautiful images that he's created. Very minimal square images with black and white for film. And I like this image here, particularly how he's used the rock in the foreground as an anchor point for your eye, and then the dark mountains just off on the horizon. That's a beautiful image. And the quality of the paper in this book is really good, and I think it really suits black and white. And I really like this image here. I just love the layers of the mist over the mountains in the background and the leading line up that leads your eye in from the jetty. Those are beautiful images. And I really enjoy some of his tree photography. I think this is probably, in my opinion, you know, the best section of this book is trees. And there's this tree here that's probably one of his more famous images, I think, which I absolutely love that image. And I really like it in this book how he'll have quite a large image like that, but then he'll have like a selection of images, and it's almost like a study. It's like he's studying the tree, and I really like that. And then some of the images towards the back of this book, he starts to look at more architectural type stuff, like this. I would describe this as architectural in some ways, and I just love the simplicity of the lines of this book. It is a beautiful book. Definitely worth picking up if you're in the market for a new photography book. So I just wanted to interrupt the video for a second just to say thank you for tuning in. I really hope you're having a great week, and I really hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, please give it a thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated. I've also set myself a goal for 2021 to hit 5,000 subscribers. So if you would like to help me with that, that would be greatly appreciated. And please hit that subscribe button as well. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. So the third book we're going to take a look at today is one by Bruce Percy, which is this one. And it is one of his more recent books, which is called Hollande. And it was a limited edition book, this, and it came with a print which was really nice. And I really enjoyed the print. It's a beautiful print, printed on fine art burrito paper, I think, from Hahnemühle. I've followed Bruce for a while now, and I believe he's from Scotland, and he travels to some of the world's most remote places to photograph them. And Bruce's book captures the interior of Iceland at different times of year. And I believe Bruce uses a Hasselblad film camera, and he uses primarily Fujifilm Velvia 50 for all his photographs. This book was quite expensive, especially when compared to the other books in this video. However, I have followed Bruce for a long time, and I really appreciate the quality of his images. And I have to say that there's many images, to be honest, I probably like every image in this book. But I picked out a few that I wanted to show you today that are probably some of my favourites. And this book here is probably one of his more famous images, I think, from this book. And I like this book because he tries to capture the interior of Iceland at different times of year. So the book starts off with quite dark images like this, with quite striking leading lines. And I really like this image for that reason. And it kind of goes on to get a bit more kind of like wintry as the book moves on. You start seeing elements of winter and snow appearing in the book. And Bruce uses that as leading lines, which is really nice to see. And I really enjoy this image. Some of the S-curves that he finds are quite interesting. And S-curves make great leading lines. And even some of these kind of more volcanic, stark, barren landscape images are really nice. And Bruce is, again, another master of minimal photography, in my opinion. You know, this image is a great example of that. He just does such a good job of finding organic elements of the landscape and composing them into a square by square image. And as the book moves on, it starts to go to, you know, winter where there's lots of snow. And this image is a beautiful image. This one here is actually the print that I got, which is quite a nice print. And there's lots of images like this, and here I really like this one. You know, you can just see some of the twilight light coming through. It's a beautiful minimal type image. And some of these images, you know, they kind of look like stencil drawings. Beautiful minimal type images. And I really like this book. You know, the quality of the paper is really good. And I really like this kind of like textured cover on the book with the, I don't know what you call that, but it's really nice. Great book worth picking up if you get the chance. You know, Bruce releases limited books, and you need to watch out for when he releases them. If you're interested in one of his books, I'd suggest subscribing to his newsletter, because he generally sends out notices, and they generally sell out pretty quick. So if you think you want one, my advice is as soon as they become available, just buy one. Thank you, Bruce. So last but not least, the fourth book we're going to look at today is a book by Ben Horn, and it's his latest book, Between the Wind. Ben is a film photographer from California, and he has a YouTube channel like myself. It's been a nice experience to have watched many of his videos that show him creating these images, and for me to now have hard copies of those images in this book in my hand. Ben uses a large format 8x10 film camera, and he uses various types of slide film to create these images. Most of the images in this book are from Zion National Park and Death Valley. This book was a good buy at £65, and it's made by Kozu Books, including shipping to New Zealand. And I like a lot of the images in this book, and I've selected some again just to show you quickly the images that I like. So this is one of my favourite images from Ben. It's a beautiful image, very minimal type shot of those autumn leaves on the ground. It's just a beautiful shot. You know, and I bet these look beautiful on a light table, just looking at the slide film themselves. I really like this image of the canyon walls with the autumn tree just sitting there in the middle. You know, a beautiful backlit autumn tree there, Ben. And I really like this image here. It's quite a complex but yet minimal type image. You know, all the scattered autumn leaves in the trees makes for a beautiful image with a dark background. And I really love some of these sandstone images of the canyon. They're just beautiful formations within the canyon walls. And you know, I love looking for geology type shapes myself, so I really appreciate those sorts of images. And I really like this type of work from Ben, where he's finding some of the finer details in the landscape and looking for lines to use as leading lines through his landscape images, which again is really, really nice. And this is a well-made book. The pages are really nice, the images show up really well, and it's well worth buying. Great buy from Ben. You should pick it up if you can. If you know of any great film landscape photography books that are worth looking at, then please leave a link to those books and where you can find them in the comment section down below of this video. In the description section of this video, there will be links to all the books that I've talked about today for you to go check out if you wish to do so. And that's it for today's video. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye for now. Take care.